All right. Good morning and happy Saturday. So we're gonna start the day off with a little bit of musing. Got my kiddos coming over in a bit, and then I might do some more tomorrow night. I don't know. Been having a lot of fun with Dark Souls 2, getting really far, and like I don't think I've ever beaten any of those games. Like it's just one of those things. I think I beat Dark Souls 3. That's about it. Like, and even that, like, there's so much that I didn't do, so it would be worth going back and taking a look. Let's see. I'm trying to make this thing. Now I don't know how I want to make it. I mean, like, there's that, but it's really hard to just work with blocks. Like, you can't have stair emeralds, you can't have slab emeralds. Like, I really think that Minecraft should update that because it's a really cool block to build with, and it's unlimited if you have a gigantic farm. Yeah, let's not worry about that right now. Let's go look at the gigantic farm as I started adding to it. Let's continue to expand that. I do need to get to heal up my pickaxe there. So, but anyway, starting the day off strong. I've been working on a couple of projects since I took a 4-day weekend. Um, my kids have a 4-day weekend too, so we spent the last couple of days just hanging out, having fun. You know, most of the last couple of days they went and saw their mom for a little bit, so that was good. But um, actually, wait, let's go ahead and go to sleep. Yes, I'm taking this bed. Oh yeah, and I'm some other random character now too. It's like it's having trouble loading, so um, that's okay. Actually, can we? Oh my gosh, failed to load character 3. Wait, let's do this one. This one's fun. Uh, Literally, let's do any character, but whatever, that's fine. We can be this guy. It's just definitely not like. I feel like it's me doing blackface. That's why it's kind of a little awkward because I'm not dark skinned at all. But anyways, apologies. That's what. Like no, literally, like any other character, like literally any other. I don't care. We'll be this one. All right, we're the party creeper. I mean, sorry, I just don't. I don't want to come off as offensive to other people, cultures, religions, nationalities. Like, no, I'm white trash, raised as a Christian. Now I'm a skeptical Christian, where I think we should still do all the good stuff, but maybe leave all the hate and like the judging to, oh, I don't know, the person that's supposed to be judging. Like, if it's God judging, then God will judge. Like, that's one of the biggest like things that just upsets me is like, the gay thing. Like, I really don't think God cares if people are gay. Like, I just, there's so much. If you read the Bible and like, and it's a tough read. I was actually trying to figure out where to even get a Bible anymore because I don't know where. I had one once upon a time. My family had like the family Bible that was about as used as, actually, no, it wasn't nearly as used as the family dictionary, which was a big old dictionary book we'd have sitting by the kitchen table. And, if we had to look up a word, because this was before the age of the internet where you could just pull out your phone from your pocket and be like, oh yeah, I know how to spell this word or what this word means. And, you know, like we had to have maps on paper like pirates and books to tell us what words meant, and computer science, like that was like a dark age for computer science that we didn't even know. Like, I mean, it didn't seem like a dark age because it was progressively getting better and better and better, and like computers were getting smaller and smaller and cheaper and more widespread. But like the idea that writing computer code without the internet, without Stack Overflow and a bunch of other tech nerds just sitting on online forums being like, "No, that doesn't work and here's why," or actually this is what you need to be doing and here's why. Like, just having basically the ability to talk to everybody else. Whereas like if you try to learn computer science in a silo, and I experienced that because when I was in school, like I was about to say my attendance wasn't so great, but by the time I went into computer science classes, it was. I was showing up to every class, every lab. But I mean, like if you fall behind even a little bit, you start struggling and like, it's like being dragged behind a car, like, or like behind a boat, maybe doing water skiing. Like, and you're just being dragged along. Like, you're going to keep going, but it's going to be very ungraceful and, yeah, and painful. So, but anyways, that's why I also love the way that computer science education is evolving. Like now you can go and watch a bunch of YouTube videos, and as long as you have like a goal, like say, half of a good, half of a decent profile on coding game and Code Wars, and then you're good. Mm. And I actually started doing some clashes of code, just like 2 or 3 the other day. It was really fun, but I need to do some on camera just so like you can see kind of like on the spot algorithm adjustments and tinkering and all that. Although look at all these emerald blocks that we're getting. I mean, we could definitely build something fun. Oh, we'll just go drop off the blocks and then for whenever a time strikes me that I do feel creative with emeralds. Because it is a very cool medium. I think what my problem is that it's already turning out to be too thin. Like, I want it to be like a tower, and already this is like, I don't know. It's gonna get really tall before it gets really wide. So, yeah, or I might even need to have a different accent block for even the exterior part because yeah, emeralds are so blocky, and I might want it more finely detailed. So, but either way, yeah, religion and politics, it's just ridiculous. I was so excited to find a passage from the Bible that said that interest rate, or you shouldn't charge interest on loans to poor people. And then what an amazing concept, like a sliding scale. I mean, people won't go for it because it's anti-capitalist. Like the idea of capitalism is to make as much money as you can and try to do it in an ethical way. And see, a lot of people forget that ethical way part at the end. And then you get people like Donald Trump making deals left and right, and what are he calls good deals or bad deals, like and then he backs out of bad deals or he breaks treaties, like which shocker, that's a description of Satan in the Bible. And I don't believe like the Bible, like how some people take it, like if you do any of those things, you're going to hell, like and I don't think a lot of people believe that, or the ones that do fixate on things like abortion, and they'll completely glaze over the fact that let's see, Donald Trump is like the epitome of the Antichrist. Like every anti-Christian thing he has done, he has campaigned on, he has made deals about, like, and now he even wants to murder people. Like he wants to kill people over non-violent drug crimes. And he says fentanyl, to save lives or whatever, but you can't twist that. Like if God was real and if Jesus was really God and if Jesus came back down a second time, which I don't believe any of that. I think he was a great guy, but I don't think he was God, and I think that's why we have war in the Middle East is because, the one true God. There's a discrepancy of wait, whose God is real? Whatever. You're all praying to the same God. Like there's one creator supposedly, and we don't even know. So that's the other thing is a lot of people are dying and arguing over things that we don't really know. We just feel like should be right, or we might feel like the other person is definitely wrong. We're right. Or even if we're not right, that other person is definitely not right. Whatever kind of human thinking, because these are all humans out there, over there in the Middle East fighting each other, and even here too. But no, and like I keep sharing around this meme, and that's why I need to get a Bible. It's because as much as I hate it, because it's such a boring read, and it's so stupid too. Like some parts are just like, wow, that made no sense, or that's such a stretch, and like, because you're essentially taking like the goat herder's guide of 2,000 years ago and using it as law, like or trying to use it as like rules to live by and stuff, and it's like they didn't know what life was like in 2,000 years from now. There should be a revised edition and be like, hey, here's the holy word according today. And the biggest thing is just gay people. Like, that's like, I have talked with people, and like it's mentioned, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 times in the Bible from what I've been seeing people say. Like, here's one that says, this, and here's one that says this. But then you see these little tidbits, like there's a scene from The West Wing, and I've never even watched that show, but like this particular scene was the president or the person playing the president, um, Martin Sheen, I think. Charlie Sheen's dad, hilarious guy, did some of the airplane like movies like Hot Shots and stuff. But anyways, aside from that, when he's not being a comedian, he does do some political stuff. And I liked this one thing. I forget what it was called, and I hate it because I can't find the video anymore. But there was this video. It was like Move On or something, and it was some nonprofit group that was trying to organize like, hey, here's how we break the two-party system. We no longer have to have, because that's what it is. Like Democrats and Republicans, neither of them are really like 100% working for the people. They're working for the special interests and the people that can afford it and corporations and all that. And yeah, if there's time, they'll work for the small person. But and that's, we need to get out of that rut. Because it just goes back and forth. And it's like, yay, we did it, but did we really? And we still got problems going on, wars going on and all this and and all this greed. But anyways, part of it, as far as pertaining to the Bible, he starts saying oh, my assistant is wearing two kinds of fabric. Should I stone him now, or when's a good time to put him to death? Oh, and my other employee worked on the Sunday. Should I have her publicly executed and all this? And the Bible says some really messed up things because back in the day, that sort of thing was potentially more dangerous. And in the gay thing, people not having kids, if everybody turned gay, and that's the short-sighted humanistic thinking. I mean, every person is susceptible to that to a point, being the straw man fallacy. Oh, well, if it's not one thing, it must automatically be the opposite or whatever, or this completely other option or possibility, even though there's a myriad of maybe 1,000 or 100 possibilities in between there. Oh no, this could actually just turn into this. And then you see people like Elon Musk saying that we're going to have a population problem because birth rates are declining. And it's well, yeah, that kind of makes sense. When it's so expensive to live here, people are hesitant to be can I even afford another life, to raise another human being in this economy? And so, I don't know. That's why I've been really battling or arguing with a lot of people. Not battling. I mean, it's not really a battle. It's just a contest or yeah, debating, discussion. But basically saying, if we made it cheaper to have kids, more people would have kids. You got Elon Musk, someone who's never had to, struggle a day in his life either. He works hard, sure, but like, has he ever had to do landscaping or, wear an orange jumpsuit and pick up trash on the side of the road? No. He's a wealthy, grew up wealthy, never having to realize that. Same with Trump. Trump's never had to wear work boots in his life, not a single day. I mean, I doubt Biden has either, but I mean, at least, Biden's got kids in the military. You don't get that with Trump. So anyways, just many different hypocrisy or points of hypocrisy that just kind of bother me. But um, I don't even know where I was going with all that. But loaning money to poor people at zero interest, or even just middle income, with a low interest. Why do we have such high interest rates, and we say that it's okay to make such large amounts of money off of people that really can't afford it at this time, or they go into mountains of debt. They just want to be like everybody else and live that American dream, and it's oh, here you go, and making houses so expensive too. They don't have to be that expensive. We should have a series of townhomes with attached garages. That's it. But in order to make it cheap for people, they forget the garage. They almost always leave off the garage. And it's well, if you're a poor person, you don't get to have a good car. Because if your car is out in the elements, especially in a place like here in Colorado, where we get tons of snow, or I mean, not tons, we get a decent amount of snow, and then it's really hot, and then the temperature changes, it can crack windshields or, really be really hard on cars. And it's until you're able to afford a house with a garage, it sucks to be you. Oh, you just bought a new car and you have a nice, car because you can only afford one than the other. Well, your car is going to lose a lot of value, and it's going to be outside, and it's going to start, needing more repairs faster and all that. Whereas if it's been in a garage, it's fine. It's protected from the elements for the most part. Garages can still get pretty cold, but so wouldn't want to live in a garage, but it's just nuts. So, hearing all those cats. But I think that's a good, just human thing to do. It doesn't have to be Christian, doesn't have to be Muslim, doesn't have to be anything. And Islam has a percentage of wealth that you're supposed to pay back to the poor. Like you're supposed to contribute to society. Oh wait, I guess we did already have a lot of these. Oh well. We can continue expanding. See, I'm getting a little lopsided with pumpkins, so now I need to make more melons. That way it's easier to make more emeralds and experience while trading, so I don't know. So that's my goal right now, and none of this is really all that technical, which is kind of depressing. Like I wanted to build like some system or something. The online voting system, it is really simple. It already exists. Like all people have to do is somebody has to make a database that's super secure and link everybody's voter registration to an email, which I already have my voter registration linked to an email. They send me information about my voter registration to my email. So they have my email. But we just need to strengthen and bolster that and make it to where everybody feels more comfortable with like, okay, the government knows my email and they will send me my unique voter registration ID for this election. And then I will turn around and then they'll send me the ballot in my email. I'll turn around and I'll fill it out and I'll send it back and then I'll look at a website and see if my vote was counted. It's easy. The only problem that I can see is people are scared that somebody else might know your vote, which is hilarious because anybody who ever does anything on social media, they already know who you're voting for. Like it's very easy to see which way you're leaning politically. I mean, and some of the problem is like a lot of people just don't even vote. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Wait, that's the one. Okay. So it's not as bad. I went back and I redid these last night or 2 nights ago because this is where the water is upstairs and I like to replace it with that so you have at least the illusion of more headroom. I guess you do because it's a half a slab. Or I mean a half a block, the slab. So, and it's kind of interesting because even before I put the lights down here, as soon as you break away, the dirt is actually permeable. Like light is able to pass through the dirt, so it looks pretty cool. Um, but anyway, so like what I'm trying to think of now, and I've talked about this before. I've definitely mused about this before. Is like interest-free loans or zero-interest loans. And originally, what I was thinking of is like building a bunch of border villages along the border to where anyone trying to immigrate from the south, because that's our biggest problem, is our southern border. Everybody's coming up through the Mexican border and trying to get here, because Mexico's a little more relaxed on just about everything, which that might change. Now they have a new woman president, and like she's going to need to try to make a name for herself and show that women can be leaders. So she's probably going to have to do some extra hoops jumping through or whatever, or not. I don't know. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I honestly don't know enough about Mexican politics to really weigh in, but what I do know is the war on drugs that we started and we continue to do made it to where Mexico's economy and a lot of the people's economies down south are related to drugs because there's so much money in it. And it still is. Like, I mean, drugs by nature are just literally addicting. It's like almost as bad as cigarettes, not really. And then candy and sugary stuff, like that's not really physically addicting, but it's so socially acceptable that it's easier to see how something like that would be a thing. You know, all these sugary cereals and these dyes and all these things that are not healthy for us that yet we consume. I mean, and drugs themselves, almost all drugs. Fentanyl is the scary one because that one is just like such a huge. Oh, see right there, it like lit up a little bit as we're breaking away more of the dirt. And it looks like it's like above where probably a light. Oh, whoops. So I'm going to need to bring some more slabs down and get that. Then you run into things like this lapis, and so then you're gathering resources and coal and yeah, I was talking about this lapis and then the coal, of course. So, but anyways, no. So all it really needs is a website, and I'm kind of working on that because once upon a time I made a really cool website that was linked to a database, and it had a bunch of my friends' tattoo pictures, or not. He was just a tattoo artist, and he had a lot of pictures that he drew too, colored pictures and stuff. And I had a database with all of his different pictures, a title and a description linked, and it was hosted on campus. So now what I need to do is figure out my own web hosting, because I don't want to pay somebody else to do it. Like I feel like that's something that I could do. All I need is an IP address, which I've got several in my domain. I've got the one IP address that points to me, and then once it gets to there, then it can have like a subnet of a ridiculous amount, or internal IPs versus external IPs. So really, the people of the world see your external IP, and that's how they reach you. And then that hits your router, and then your router knows, oh, well, if it's trying to talk to this computer, it goes here, or if it's trying to talk to this computer, it goes here. And there's all sorts of fun things I could tinker with and build with that, and I am slowly. I've got a bunch of things, just shelved projects, but basically for like a low interest loan, the biggest things you'd have to do are find some wealthy people like movie stars, athletes, whatever, and then get them to donate. And that takes some social engineering. Like, I mean, because you got to kind of like keep it secular, like non-religious. I think that's what they call it. And in Breaking Bad, the principal says that, like, let's try to keep this secular because they're like, well, if there's a God, then why would this happen? But anyways, but still the feeling of giving. Like if you could get Oprah onto this and like with her millions and millions of dollars, billions probably by now, and then just be like, and she could just be like a huge voice about that and end up making more money on the advertising, be like, look at this, and we're doing good things, and give to this charity and all this. And so she's probably not even really paying for any of it if she did decide to, or she could. Or Taylor Swift, like Oprah and Taylor Swift both donate tons of money and stuff. Like, well, I don't know as much about Oprah. Like, I know she does things of like, everybody gets you get this, and you get this, and she gets really excited about giving out gifts and stuff, which is cool. So I feel like she would be more amenable to something like that. But Taylor Swift, like, gives away millions and millions of dollars to charities all the time. And if she were to catch wind of this, it'd be like, hey, yo, this, low interest loans, you're still making money off of this. So it'd actually still be an investment, a small investment. And then you could let it ride or just like, just donate it and then just let it keep building and building. And then because these are still loans, like people will pay them back. And then they pay back to the big pot or the fund. And then that fund just turns around and gets used for more people. Like, and it's just a perpetual system of paying it forward, much like that kid in that movie Pay It Forward was trying to do. He was like, his idea was you do two nice things for people, and instead of doing it back to you, they pay it forward and they do two nice things for two other people, or like a nice thing for two other people. And that way it's exponential growth. Like, okay, you got something nice done to you, now you need to turn around. But it was too vague to work. That was the problem. That was just one of the problems. And it's also too awkward to know, okay, well, what constitutes a good thing? Like, how do I know I've done a good thing that satisfies the requirement, and then I can move on with my life? Like, the thing is you don't. And part of that is because it's the push versus pull mentality. Like, it's easier to think that you did a good thing, but somebody else might be like, oh, well, you didn't really help me at all. Like, or, well, gee, thanks. That was kind of weird, but, so people do better with lists. Like if there's more of a Kanban type thing, like you come over and you see all the different work that can be done, and you pick one and you do it. So community, oh, there you go, community like HOA, like bounty boards and stuff, and like, oh, I need this and I'm willing to pay this. Can someone help me? That would be perfect. And actually, you know what? That's what I should do today. I mean, aside from hang out with my kids and play video games and have fun and draw things and read stories and all that, like, we'll definitely do a lot of that. But that's what I need is like to build a website that is just this massive thing. You can log into it, you can vote to it, you can see the community bounty board. Based on your community, you have to be in certain groups, so that would need to be a protected view. That if you were a part of a group, then you could see that community's bounty board. So there's all sorts of security requirements and stuff like that in there and functionality, and it's got to be able to handle the population of the US logged in all at the same time, or even just the population of the biggest county. Because then if we could break it up into county by county and just replicate it, that's the other thing. Kubernetes is an amazing thing, and I feel like I'm just like throwing out random Powerball, like, oh, Kubernetes and tech stacks and stuff, but seriously, like Kubernetes is like a bunch of Dockers or a bunch of containers. Sorry, and a container is basically like a very lightweight, thin virtual machine that only has enough stuff to do what it's intended to do. And that's why you can have so many of them and they can be so volatile. Like, oh, this one's glitching, just wipe it and just have another one and then reconnect this new one to the database. And the database stays the same, but the actual computer that's accessing it can come and go as much as you need, just can be completely destroyed for whatever reason and then spun up again, like at will. And, I mean, it's kind of like the idea of the internet. The internet was originally designed with so many nodes and pathways that if a nuclear bomb took out like half of this country, the internet would still work. It would reroute all the data packets through an existing connection. It might take a little longer, like a few seconds longer. That's it. To be rerouted completely on the other side of the country, but it would still reach its destination. So, and now that evolved into everybody's using it. It's not just a military thing and it's great because now everybody has access to everything almost. So we're still fixing the last little bits of like increasing digital infrastructure for places. That's what the Bill and Melinda French Gates, um, I don't know the name. They had a divorce and it was all this thing, but like basically the idea is still there, and like the foundation that they did is still there, and that's one of the biggest focuses of that foundation is digital infrastructure in places like India and Africa and it's really cool. And as people get this digital infrastructure, their money can go digital, so it's safer from people stealing. I mean, safer but not, because then it's available online, and then you got to track cyber thieves, you know. And ideally, and this is what I keep preaching with everything, is like, it would be better if we found a way to prevent people from stealing in the first place. Like make it unappealing to where it's like, oh, no, I don't want to steal from this person because tons of people are doing it. And that's the frustrating part is like because people don't realize that you're taking somebody's like life savings away. A lot of it like people are preying on older people, like people that are a little more gullible. They're like, "Oh no, I need someone to help me with a virus on my computer." And then like and they get taken advantage of and it's just a terrible thing. Like we need to stop that from happening. So, but basically make it to where every economy in the world is just as good as America's, so people won't need to come over here. They could do just as good at their own home country or whatever, or even just like remove the illusion that things get ultimately easier getting here, because they're not. Like, if you don't have a well-established family to like lean on, you're in for a world of hurt. Like, and I've been talking with some people around the world. I've one person from China particularly, and I'm trying to explain like, and I get it. Like, yeah, they want to come here, but I'm just like telling them you got to do it the right way, because otherwise, you might get kicked back to Mexico. And if you don't speak English, imagine how hard it is to not speak Spanish, and like it's all bad. But wait, let's see. And thinking about a couple things random people told me. Like I was in a drive-through and this guy asked this kid, he was probably in high school, he's like, "Do you work out? Do you go to the gym?" I was like, really confused. Like I didn't know if he was mocking me or if he was just like, "Yeah, I guess I do." I don't particularly look big or anything. So we had a nice little talk. And then my buddy, he was like, "Why don't you support Trump? Like, you used to be the Marine and all that." I was like, "Yeah, for like 2 weeks." So a little backstory about that. I was a Marine for all of about maybe a month actually. But and then they found some things in my system. So then I wasn't a Marine, but I also wasn't kicked out. Like I wasn't dishonorably discharged. There's a recruit entry separation. So with the option to come back. And I did not. I chose academia over military, and I still support it. I mean, I had a buddy that, well, buddy's kind of a, we were on the buddy system, and I bailed on him basically by being kicked out. So I didn't mean to, but it was an accidental. I still bailed on him. I mean, I was supposed to be there as his buddy, but I do feel bad about that. But other than that, once I saw what marine life was going to be like, and then, 4 years of that, and then you get maybe some nice things. I mean, yeah, it is easier for military people, but then you get the PTSD too. You might have to kill somebody, you might have to do some things that you don't like, and it's like, you're just serving your country at that point. And I'd rather serve in other ways, non-violent, peaceful ways that deter violence. That's what my mission is now. That's a more good Christian thing too, because one of the Ten Commandments is don't kill. It's very simple. You're not God, so you should not be able to choose whether someone lives or dies. Like, You know, you shouldn't be the ultimate deciding factor that somebody else doesn't get to experience this gift of life anymore. Like, and that's just a given. I feel like any person should understand that. Be like, you know what? That's not my call. Like, I'm not supposed to be making that decision. That's for smarter people than me or more, you know, whatever. And really, no person should do it. Anyways, that's it for this one. A lot of random stuff today, but I think that's what I'm going to work on today is all it needs. Well, I never finished that. Let's finish that thought, and then we'll be done for this episode. But in order to have a system, you need complete transparency of all funds being managed, and you need someone to manage those funds. So you need a spreadsheet to show, okay, and that you'd still probably hide the names, the actual names of the people borrowing the money, of course, like keep some privacy. But you could have like, okay, here's the fund, it has X amount of dollars, and then here's person A, let's loan them a house loan if we have enough money in the fund. Then they do it, and then you got to write the terms. Like, okay, this is a 30-year or a 40-year loan at this much, so you have to pay this much a month, and then that's how long it'll get paid back. And then this is your interest rate, like zero for the first few years, but maybe that can change as the person starts having a better income. Maybe they can take on a little more debt, or they can start paying back like a little more interest. But the payments go right back to the fund, not to any person. None of it goes back to any person. It all goes to the fund. And everybody that works on this, everybody that touches the system is a volunteer. Nobody makes money off of this. That's the biggest key takeaway is you cannot make money from it. You cannot earn an income from it. It has to all be untouched. And if that happens, that's easy for someone like me because I mean I'm not wealthy, but I'm not poor either. I have a really good job. Like as long as I just keep my head down and work hard, you know, I will have everything I ever wanted. Like I will be okay. I can live comfortably. But for those that can't, people making minimum wage, yeah, they should be able to get and maybe start off with car loans and we could see how it works. So like let's get everybody in a good car for an affordable price, no interest, and then we'll see how that goes. And then as that goes, because I think I could even raise that amount of money from just like writing letters and emails to wealthy people, or even just like politicians. Politicians would love to get in on this. Like I think Polis would do this a lot. Like he'd probably donate a decent amount of money. He'd be like, all right, I will pay for a car, and then that just and let it ride because he's a very wealthy businessman. I think I'd have to look into like what specifics, but I've just heard someone talk about how like, oh yeah, he did very good in the tech sector, like some kind of tech company. And I really should like even just look at his wiki or his government page and just read a little bit about his bio. But that would be a perfect place to start. Be like, hey, Mr. Governor, you know, love your work, but would you also like to do this? And then bada bing. I actually have a family member who's like personal friends with him, but I'm not that close to that family member, and like, and I have quite the checkered history, so I got to be careful with how I do this. So, but either way, that would be cool. And if that's all it was, and there was just a website that said, hey, check this out, person A has a new car, and now, and you can too. And person A is paying back, and then you list every payment, the date, the amount, have everything public, and then other people can look at that and just the pure transparency, be like, oh, I could do that, and so then they do, and then they get a new car, and then we can upgrade it to home loans. I mean, I'm just worried like some banker's gonna come try to break my kneecaps, but at the same time, I'm a lot bigger than a lot of that. No, I'm just kidding. That's scary. But like, I think the public outrage and accountability, if anything did ever happen to me, would just make it even that much bigger, which is scary because I don't want anything to happen to me. But like, then it'd be in the memory of the A-Rye. Like, let's start making all loans zero interest. Like, who really cares about making money off of this? Go grow some food. Go teach some kids. Go babysit or whatever. Like, go provide some useful service to humanity and actually work instead of just like charge people interest. So, anyways, that's my time for this one. Ta ta for now. I'll see you in the next one. I think I'm going to go fiddle with a website. I'm going to go try to make a website. All right, see y'all in the next one. And maybe some Dark Souls too. I don't know. I don't think I have enough time before my kiddos get here, but I'm going to go fiddle with some website stuff. So, all right, see you later.